Hey guys, it's great to see you. Today I'm going to be showing you the new Sol 2.1.3 and what the new updates are. Also, I'm going to go through my graphic settings just so you can see what I'm running the game at, and I'm also going to go through some performance settings in the Sol config that you may or may not know about, and there'll be more videos about that coming soon. As ever guys, do check out the rest of the channel, there's lots more sim racing on there. And just to let you know, this is a plane flying in the Assetto Corsa if you've not seen it before, and I'll go through that later on. The first thing to do then is install Sol 2.1.3, and there's the raw file I've downloaded from Peter's page on Race Department, and there is the folder that extracts from it. So within that folder you will have a mods folder and a number of PDFs in there, and they have been updated, some of them, so do read those, do check those out. And then you've got the main files in that 2.1.3 folder. What we're looking for here is a sol uninstall.bat, so we're going to copy that at the moment, and then we're going to drop that into the root directory of your Assetto Corsa. So I've got a shortcut folder here that takes me straight there, and as you can see, this is the root directory of my Assetto Corsa in Steam. So I'm just going to paste that in there, and I'm going to run that. Now, as ever, I know I show you this on the videos, but do try and right click on that and run it as administrator. I'm going to show you on my computer what happens when I try that, because this is a problem you may find. So if I click on yes here and click any key to continue in the black command box here, it actually comes up with an error message, so I can't run it that way. If you do that, don't worry, it's not a problem, just double click it as per normal, and then when it says do you want to delete the Sol config files, you just press yes and then press any button to continue. That's all done. Now a big shout out here guys is that even if you've got different versions of Sol installed, you always have to do this. Even if you have the very recent Sol 2.1.2, still install it this way. It will stop you having any kind of problems. Okay, so now we've got that uninstalled, we're going to go back to the 2.1.3 folder in the mods folder that we've downloaded and unrod, and we're going to copy over the 4 folders at the top here. So I'm just going to drag them over and copy those over into the root directory. When I do that, you'll see it copies over and there is no copying over files. That means that that's a fresh install of Sol that's actually dropped into this folder system now. So that's ready to go. Now the way to check this is in Content Manager. And just to play it safe, whenever you're doing major installs like this, as well as CSP, always restart Content Manager just to make sure that it's working correctly. So we're just going to double click on that and start it back up again. And the best place to check if this has landed and installed correctly is just to go into Settings, and we're going to go into Custom Shader Patch, and we're also going to go into Weather, and then we can just check on what the Sol config files are actually saying there. So if we check on here, we've got the script and the controller script. If you click on the weather script there, you can see it says 2.1.3. So we know after restarting Content Manager that we've got the right version in there. Also just double check as well that you've got 2.1 on that Sol piece there. Really important that you've got that. Okay then, so that's Sol installed. The next reason why you might get any problems when you're installing Sol is with your CSP patch. So as you can see here, I'm on 0.1.74. This is the standard version, the non-Patreon version, as I want to show you the performance on here today. But if you've got any doubts about what version you're on, just make sure you reinstall from this screen, and it needs to be as high as possible. Hopefully 1.74, that's the one to actually go on. So here we are then at the video settings, and I don't normally go in here, I have done on a couple of videos before, but I just wanted to talk you through what video settings I have got here. So as you can see, I'm on full screen, I'm on 2K resolution there, I've got a limiter on frame rate at 200. The quality and reflection settings are really important to me when I'm making my videos and also when I'm playing the game. So I've got a lot of those maxed out as much as I can there with my 1080 Ti, that's an 11 gig version. But this reflections piece at the bottom here is one that will really hit your computer hard depending on what video card you've got. You see I've got the rendering distance high, and I've also got some reflection resolution here. One of the things you can do is press this I button here at the end, and what this will do is CSP will do a check of your computer and see the kind of impact that it may have. This is only an indication of the impact this setting may have on your performance. So you can see the reflection piece I've got on here is potentially taking 8% of my performance away, whereas the render distance, which you would think, well, that's going to give you a big hit, less than 0.5%, so that's not a big hit at all. So on your system, if you've never been in this video settings section, do click on the I buttons and just see what kind of impact some of these settings are having on your performance. So on post-processing, I've always got that on. I like my videos to look nice. I like my gameplay to look good. I've obviously got all the main Sol ones installed there, but I have got a number of other PP filters. And I am going to be releasing a video very soon, guys, on updated PP filters for Sol 2.1. All those are on maximum, all my quality settings there. Motion blur I've got turned off, I don't really like it. And then a couple of these other sections here, these do have quite a big impact as well. As you can see, I've got sun rays on there, and that does have quite a big impact. Mirrors, you think it might have a big impact. As you can see here, high quality mirrors, about 0.5% again, so not really too bad there. But the resolution can have an impact. And then you've got a piece here for Oculus, for VR, and some other system settings. So I have got a video on my channel that goes through all of the CSP settings and video settings in detail, so I will drop the link in the description below. So what's new then in Sol 2.1.3? So some more Python bugs have been fixed, or some minor bugs. Sol Planner is now at 1.4 because there's been some fixes and updates there. So there's a fixed sun angle time slot calculation at certain times of the day, improved handling of empty weather slots, fixed weather change loading bug, and there's some improved frames per second on all Sol filters with a glare adjustment. There's an improved Sol Planner refresh to fix a weather not correct bug, and also a number of PDFs have been updated as well. So do check those out on Peter's page and do read those PDFs, they're really useful. So in this last section, I just wanted to show you some of the performance that I'm seeing with the new version of Sol and Csp 1.74. So you've seen my video card settings now, and I'm running at about 95, 96 frames a second as I'm just sat here on this bridge. This is Emerald Bay, by the way. I will drop this link in the description. So what I'm going to do is bring up the Sol Config 2. And I have got a video on Sol Config 1 that was in Sol 2.0, and I'm going to redo that video for Sol 2.1 over the next coming weeks. But I just thought I'd just flick through this very quickly for you, because this can make quite a huge difference depending on your PC rig setup. So you can see that you've got a number of different options that you can click on the front page here. So as I click through these options, you can see my frames per second, for instance, is going up when I'm on low, but the sky detail has gone to a 2D detail there, and it's obviously not as good because it's taken a lot of that graphic fidelity away. Remember, Sol is primarily a weather simulator. So if we go into medium, you can see the clouds come back, but my frames per second have gone down there about 5 or 6%. And then as I cycle through high and then ultra, you will see that there's some more impact there also. So these are definitely worth clicking on and just seeing what kind of impact it has on your system. I have people asking me questions about whether they can play Assetto Corsa and use Sol on laptops, on older laptops, as well as newer gaming rigs, and of course you can. But these settings are really good for understanding what's actually causing your performance hit. There are a couple of settings in here that can have an enormous impact on some systems. So because of my computer, I've got 32 gig of RAM in it, a 1080 Ti, and I've got a pretty decent processor, then really it's not having that much impact. But as I said, depending on your PC rig, these could have enormous impacts. So let's just take a look though through some of these pages in Sol Config. Now I would advise that you do read the PDFs that Peter's drawn up, and as I said, I will put a video out just to go through these in more detail. But there's some very interesting things that you can click on here. So don't worry guys, as well, by clicking on pieces in here, you're not going to break anything. You can always reset to defaults, and that's on the front page, and I'll show you that in a moment. One of the pieces that is interesting is this weather Sol Config page 7 here. So the cloud system, I said that there's 2D and 3D clouds. As you can see, the render method that I'm on at the moment is render method 2. If I was to move that down to render method 0, which is just 2D clouds, that of course will give you a performance increase, but of course it doesn't look as good. So this is all about a balance on your system and trying to understand again what's going to cause your frames per second to decline, whether it's your main video settings in Assetto Corsa, your video card drivers, or whether it's something in Sol that is just straining your rig and it just can't deal with it with the frames per second that you're trying to hit. So as you see here, I'm gone on to page 8 now, and there are a number of settings here on quality that do again make a really big difference to the way those clouds form and what kind of impact that will have on your system. So they're worth looking at too. So if you are going to change some of these settings, and there are lots of things to look at in here, as you can see, as much detail really as you want to go into. What happens if something messes up? What happens if Sol just looks completely wrong all of a sudden? Well, then you can go right back to page 1, and as you can see right at the bottom, you've got a reset to default. So you can click on that, and that will take everything back to default, all those other settings. And of course then you can pick whichever setting you want, and I'm going to click on Ultra here, and that just fits my computer really well. So that takes me around 90 frames per second, which I'm quite happy with. I hope that's been useful as a quick performance guide, just to show you the difference between what the video settings are going to do and what Sol's going to do, and CSP. They all have an impact on your system. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and thank you for the continued support. If you do like the video, a thumbs up would really help me out with YouTube. Thank you, and I'll see you very soon.